Hello and welcome to Silver Wheel Tarot. This is another study with me. We are currently studying the Tarot Reversals by Mary K. Greer. So for anyone who is new to these live study sessions, essentially I take about 5 or 10 minutes in the beginning. I've been clocking in about 5:15, 5:20 Mountain Standard Time on Mondays. And we go for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And what I do is I give an introduction and then we dive right into studying. So we read silently, or you can work on whatever you'd like during the 20 minutes. And then if there are any questions or statements or anything in the comments, we can discuss that during the 10 minutes after the 20 minutes. I am tongue-tied today, sorry about that. Yeah, so about 2 sessions of 20 minutes study, 10 minutes discussion, and then we do it again, and we go from there. So pretty much we are at chapter 2, the beginning of it. Technically the major arcana is in chapter 2, but we are just starting the beginning section of chapter 2. I have finally uploaded this book into my group over on the Fable reading app. It is called Tarot Enthusiasts if you would like to join. There's no sponsorship or anything like that. I just really love that app, and it's a great platform for reading clubs or groups. So if you want to follow along there, I have set it up so that as of next week, it will be in line with what we are covering each week on the schedule for the reading. Today I am going to be personally reading the beginning section of the chapter 2 and taking my own notes. Next week we get into the cards, into the meanings, into the descriptions, and so from there I will probably be pre-reading the information and then working on creating some flashcards during the 20-minute study time. Again, you can do whatever you like, but if you do pre-read the sections, you might be able to, better have any questions that you might like to add to the chat and so forth. And if you don't catch these live, you can always catch them on the replay on my YouTube channel. Okay, let's see, what else do I have? I have been pretty much just using for this book some flags. I like to go over what supplies I'm using for folks. And I'm using this purple ultrafine Sharpie. I find they work best when the flags are made of the plastic material as opposed to the paper. And a purple fountain pen. So I got a purple theme going on. A notebook here. As you can see, just a blank notebook for the notes. My book and some tea, and next week I will have some flashcards too. So today I have some lemon ginger. It's delicious. Okay, so with that, and in case anyone's interested, I put some gemstones up here too. I have some pyrite and a really pretty piece, I can get used to the camera on this laptop, sorry, of fluorite, and some amethyst too. It's weird spacing on the camera, sorry about that. Anyways, hopefully make the screen a little bit nicer with the stand in there. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the view for the study desk. Okay. And set my stuff aside here. Get my reading glasses out. I don't really have much else as far as announcements or anything. We've got a couple minutes until we need to start our first 20 minutes of reading. I did go back and do, for anyone who's been following along, there was some follow-up study I wanted to do on a couple of the sections, and one of them was the area right here where the author gave a list of where she took the traditional interpretations from, because there are many traditions, and so when they say traditional card meanings, it could be stemming from a lot of different practices. And so I did look, she says to look in the bibliography. There are a lot of really good books in the back. I will say that the two that I was interested in were in French. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to learn how to read French now, the deeper I go into my tarot studies. But with a little bit of ingenuity and research and digging around online, I was able to find the American English versions of the books. Not that I'm able to obtain them at this time, but in case anybody's interested in them, it is the Divinatory Tarot by Pappas, Papus. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and the Synthetic and Practical Manual of Tarot by, well, let me put my reading glasses on because I can't read my own writing. Oh, it just says English version. I guess it's by Picard Eudes, or Eudes Picard. I'm not sure which way that name goes. But yeah, so if you are like me and you want to dig deeper and start finding these old texts that actually have these old meanings of the card, whether you use them or not in your own practice, but you want that wisdom, that was the name of those two books, the Divinatory Tarot by Pappas and the Synthetic and Practical Manual of Tarot by Edith Picard. So her references in the book are French, so that was a little fun to try and figure out. But yeah, all right, so we are just at about 5:30 my time here. So with that, let's just go ahead and silently read or study or whatever you'd like to do for 20 minutes. And then I will check to see if there are any comments or questions to share. If not, I will share with you guys what I saw and my thoughts and interpretations. All right, enjoy. Okay. Sorry, my eyes from the glasses. That wraps up our first 20 minutes. So it doesn't look like we have any questions or comments at this time. I have a couple of things that I noted down. One thing I did just note as I was finishing her section here on page 29, her 12th description of viewing reversal cards, the unconventional, shamanic, magical, and humorous. I kind of love that she put those all together, though I personally would view them as four different things, but they are all, I would suppose, unconventional. So they do fit in the same category as well. Um, I, I really liked her analogy of shamanic or magical, that it basically is saying it asks you to enter the card and journey to an Alice in Wonderland realm in order to bring back vital message or understanding, which just had to make me smile a little bit, because I don't think I've ever compared shamanic journeying to Alice in Wonderland, but it really is kind of, that is what it is, right? So that was interesting. Anyways, I thought that was cute. Um, Good analogy. And she notes here that it also, that this view represents the esoteric. I think I would probably put a distinction between esoteric and shamanic. Um, Both equally unconventional, but both very different applications of the energy. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so what did we have here? Let's go ahead and go over the notes I have since we don't have any questions. What did I see? So I flagged it here where she said that to view reversed cards as red flags, indicating that you should pay extra attention to them. They signal that something is not operating as usual. Upright cards tend to be conscious, outer, automatic in process, and available, whereas reversed cards often indicate choice points where you must be attentive. So that was an interesting perspective. Maybe just because I've been reading upright for so long that for me the upright can symbolize the same thing. But I definitely agree with, if you're reading reversals, being able to distinguish them that way. So then I loved going through her section of her 12 different ways of viewing reversed cards. She had some in here that I hadn't considered before, which I always like having some fresh perspective. Of course, she has the blocked, resisted, projected energy, delays, difficulties, inner or unconscious private. The new or dark moon method for the round cards, I've never seen that, though I don't think I actually own a round deck, so not surprising. But I really like that method. It kind of makes me want to go out and get a round deck. So we'll see. But that was very interesting, comparing the wherever the top of the card was with the phase of the moon, if it's on the right or on the left, and at what angle, what phase it's at. So I would love to give that a try sometime. Let's see, she also had the breaking through, overturning, refusing, changing direction, the no or not. I thought that was very simple. I like the way that she explained this. This is such a simple way to start learning reversals if you haven't read reversals before, but you've been learning an upright only, but you want to give it a try, because you just simply put no or not in front of the description or the keyword or the phrase or whatever for the card that you're reading. you simply put no or not in front of it. And I thought that's a great way to do the opposite meaning. So then, let's see, the other ones we went through here were the excessive or undercompensating, the misused or misdirected, the rewords. I actually like this with the misused and misdirected, and also with the rewords as well. Again, it's kind of an extension from a different angle of putting no or not in front of the description, but here it's words that start with misused, misdirected, or words that start with retired, retracted, reviewed. And I thought that was a very interesting perspective. So I'll play with that a bit. The rectification, disease to remedy, and the unconventional with the shamanistic. Love those approaches very much. I think I already use a lot of that in my own reading when I'm viewing a card as it's maybe a reversal meaning. I just maybe called it something different or didn't label it, perhaps. So some notes about this. I wrote down the word rectify at the beginning. She mentions that you'll be able to rectify a card, when to use the reversals for upright meanings. Let's see, exactly what did she say? She says, you will also learn to rectify a card and when to use reversed meanings for upright cards. So I don't think we got to that yet. I'm really curious to see her perspective, because I'm really quite enjoying her perspective on things, her view of things. So I'm looking forward to, maybe it's in the rest that we'll read in the next 20 minutes. I'm hoping it is. And then as I was reading through the 12 ways, methods, approaches to doing the reversals, to viewing them, I noticed that she gives, as most authors do, a different, several descriptions, several examples, but that each one was a different example that was a key, a very fine point, a very good example of expressing that method, which is great. A very common method of doing it, but what it made me think of is an exercise that I would like to try on my own with regards to these, because I also have another, like a personal list too, of different ways of viewing reversals, and opposed to, say, viewing, like picking one that fits my view. I'm pretty much, when I'm reading, open to seeing whatever comes in. So it could be any of them. I'm not the type of reader to pick one or two and choose those. I'm the type of reader to learn as many different methods as I can, and then trust my intuition on what comes through when I'm reading the cards. So because of that, and because she has some methods in here that I'm unfamiliar with, that are new to me, what I was thinking is I could come up with some sort of exercise, a set scenario, like say Jane is going to college for this is her first year going to college, and whatever her questions are, and do like a 3-card pull, right? Keep the cards, maybe shuffle them all upright so you can intentionally flip one reversed. But set the scenario, right? Make her setting, or the person's setting, or whatever they're in, and then come up with their question and make it a test or an example study scenario, not a test scenario, but a test study scenario. And then really shuffle the cards and pull 3 cards, and then flip one reversed before you flip them over. And then read it how you would normally read it. Okay, so you come up with this, with her setting, like little background or whatnot, and her question and what her situation is. do a 3-card spread, but shuffle them all upright so that then you can flip one reversed and flip them over, do a reading, and then go back through with the same exact cards, and to the reversed card apply each one of these different ways of reading reversals. So you could do that even, once a week or once a month or something, just as an exercise of practicing reversals to come up with this scenario. You could even, if you come up with a really good scenario, you could even reuse the same scenario, because every time you shuffle and you do the exercise, you're going to get different cards. And then you would be able to really see, okay, so I have a reversed 3 of Cups to answer her specific question. How does that reverse look if it's projected, if it's a blocked situation, if it's an unconscious situation, or rectification, right? So that would be a way to really practice with the different methods in kind of a controlled environment, because you're setting this person, the scenario, the question, you have it set up, and then you're doing, it's like not a real person, but then you do the 3-card reading and you read it 12 different ways with the reversal. So that is something that I'd like to give a try. And then I wrote down, she had mentioned this astrologer, Dane Rudyar. I apologize if I'm missaying that. I always do love to look up new names and information, so I wrote that name down to do some additional study later and just kind of look up the name and the information, because I like doing that. Okay, so that was about 10 minutes for our discussion. We have, I think, I should be able to get through the rest of this beginning section of chapter 2. We'll start on the major arcana interpretations next week. We will be splitting the major arcana into 3 sections so that we're covering about a third of it per week. And next week's, the first third of the cards, I will be pre-reading those and probably just working on some flashcards during the 20-minute study sessions. That's what my plan is, but you can read or do whatever you like, of course. So let's go ahead and do another 20 minutes of studying. Okay, it looks like that's the 20 minutes that we have for studying. I didn't quite get through the rest of the chapter. My mind goes a million miles a second here, contemplating this information that she has in here. So I'll finish up my section here before next week, as well as I am going to pre-read the first third of the major arcana interpretations before next week, and I'll be working on some flashcards for those. I did love that she then gives additional techniques, and there's actually quite a few here. So she has her 12, which have some new scenarios in there for me to play with. And then she gives a lot more from other people that she has cited. And there are a lot of methods in here I haven't tried. And so I absolutely love that. I mean, the amount of information and methods in this book, in just the beginnings of the chapters, is so informative. There's literally something in here for everyone, regardless of how you read tarot. So it's great. I think there's a lot of really good information in here. I particularly stumbling over my words today. Sorry, everybody. I particularly loved this first bullet point she has here of stating that the reversed card might revert you back to the previous card. Well, as I started to read that, I assumed before I finished the paragraph that it was the previous card in the reading. So if you're doing a whole spread, depending on what type of spread you are, that it's kind of reverting you back in time to that previous card. But then as I finished the paragraph, it was the previous card of the cards in order. So if you had what did she say? If you had a reversed 5 of wands, then it reverts you back to the 4 of wands, and a 1 would revert back to a 10. And it says, what about fools and pages? Define those for yourself. And I think she got this off of these additional techniques are cited off of other people's sites. So she has in the end notes where to look those up. So I might do that. Well, I probably will do that. But I also really liked this yin and yang method as well. The mirror, reflection, shadow, or parallel worlds. I mean, there is just so much here to play with. And I would take that same exercise method, I think, for myself. Basically come up with a scenario, shuffle the cards upright face down, lay a 3-card spread for the reading, flip over one of the cards intentionally, flip them over, do a reading, and then apply all these different methods. I love that. And then she goes even further, determining which reversed meanings to use. And there's yet even another method here, the 5 Ds, delay, direction, dark side, direction change, and there's more methods. So I mean, it's just this first section of chapter 2 is packed with so much value in different ways and methods for you to read the cards. It's great. Her ways to rectify, pretty much align with what I was viewed that as. I was hoping to see something more there, but it's, pretty much what it is, described very well. And then I didn't, though she did go, the next page that I didn't get into was actually more possibilities for helping you rectify reversals. That's probably the section that I'm most interested in looking at right now, but I didn't get to that. Just a couple funny things of note. One of the methods I really liked, or something that was it, the well dignified and ill dignified came up again. If you were watching one of the previous study group sessions, she earlier in the book describes that at the particular time in history that the ill dignified came to represent reversed cards, and it comes up again here. And so I want to reread book T, the tarot, because where that book describes elemental dignities, there is mention of dignified and ill dignified, and I always just took that as positive, negative, but I never really, I didn't know that ill dignified used to represent reversed cards. And so I really need to it's like a reminder to me, reread that book. I need to reread that with a new perspective and see if I get anything new out of it. She uses RX for the reversed meanings. Hey, pattern breaker. My personal leaning when it comes to reversals is I learn every possible different method and view out there. I'm very eclectic in things, so I like to learn all the different methods and then use my intuition during the reading to see what comes up. So I know that she mentions in this book that can be very overwhelming for most people, and it's even overwhelming for myself sometimes when I'm learning. I have to pare it down and learn certain methods and processes, but then once I learn them, it's like one more tool in my tool belt that I apply based off of intuition when I'm doing the reading. So that's kind of why I'm so excited in reading this first part of chapter 2, because there are so many methods in here that I haven't heard of or tried. It's great. So I'm excited to dive into that. Yeah, it's exciting. Though I don't know how I'm going to get through this book with her using the RX for prescription, because in my past, I have read way too many medical record documentations. All I see is prescription every time I see reverse, the symbol for reverse. It doesn't it seem like the surrounding cards affect it? That's why when she gave this method here from someone else where a reversed card can revert you back to the previous card, I automatically assumed that was referring to the card before it in the reading. But as I finished that bullet point paragraph, whoever came up with that method is saying, like, if it's a 5 of wands reversed, then it's the 4 of wands. I'm like, I would never even thought of that. I've got to practice with that and try it out. But for me, I love that concept of what first came to my mind when I started reading that, of if it's going to revert you back, it's going to go to the card right before it. So that was kind of exciting. Yeah. There's just so much information. I could probably dive into this first section of this chapter all week, just trying these different things. I'm excited to read the rest of it, these possibilities for helping you rectify reversals, because I think that's one of the perspectives of this particular author that I'm really looking forward to seeing. I didn't get into it. I'm kind of a slow reader because I'm just absorbing everything. But yeah. Yeah. How about you, pattern breaker? What do you lean towards when you're doing reversals? I also, with reversals, like I haven't read with reversals in a while because one of my approaches to reversals is really to learn all the different viewpoints, but then I actually read, because I use a lot of intuition, I read upright, and then I trust my intuition of, oh, that's the reversed meaning, or it's in this, technique or whatnot. Extra cards if you have insecurity when a reversal falls. Yeah, I do that too. That's a good method. Um, Sometimes I like to pull like 3 cards. Do you ever do that? Like a mini 3-card reading for a reversed card. Sometimes I find that helps too. If there's a card that I'm not understanding the meaning of, I'll actually pull like 3 cards for it. So next week, we will be getting into the card meanings. The first third of the major arcanas, and I will probably pre-read those, work on some flashcards. Awesome. I also have, just a reminder, I did start a tarot enthusiast book club over on the Fable app. If you use that app at all, it's a fantastic app for keeping track of what books you're reading. So over at Silver Wheel Tarot, starting with next week's, I did finally get this book added on there. So starting next week, it actually is broken down by the week, what we're going to be covering each week. So as I have been, actually for the 20 minutes of study I've been reading, going forward, because we have card descriptions, and I actually want to make flashcards for this book because she uses a compilation of traditional meanings from multiple sources. So they're all traditional, but they're not all just Rider-Waite Smith traditional, or they're not just Marseille traditional. It's kind of like a montage of it, right? Hey, flashcards you work great for cheat sheets too, because I mean, if you pull a card, you can pull your flashcard. It has your keywords, your phrases, whatever you want to put on them, instead of having to like flip through a book. So I don't know. I'm all about flashcards right now. I go through these phases of flashcards, and I'm just, everything right now for me is flashcards. But yeah. So that's what I have for you. Do you have any questions or anything before we call it a day? I don't think I have anything else. Did I note down here? Oh, one of her references on the dignified, ill dignified, was a number 11 to her endnotes, and it just says I bid. I have no idea what that is. I'm gonna have to look that up. So I thought that was funny. I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and give it just another minute, make sure we don't have any questions, and then we're probably going to call it a day for today, and we'll be back next Monday. I've been jumping on here around about 5:15, 5:20 Mountain Standard Time. Yeah, me too. Intuitive, definitely. But I think that's why I'm getting into the flashcards more too. It's because I'm really, even though I started as a very intuitive reader, and I still very much use, intuition 100% way through my readings, I've got this passion for really learning all the traditional meanings and stuff like that. I could probably pull one. I have just a little bit of time left. Let me see. Hold on. We can try and do one. Did you have a question that we wanted to try to answer and look at? I have about 10 minutes, so I'm going to use the Light Seers Tarot. We could come up with a general question. Couple of 3-card spreads to discuss. We can do, you know what I'm really interested in looking at? Let me put it back on the desktop so you can see. I really want to see if I do a spread, a 3-card spread, and say we intentionally, just for practice sake, flip over the middle card. No, I am married to a Virgo. I'm Sagittarius sun. Sagittarius with Leo rising. And a Cancer moon. So a lot of water and fire there. Okay, so let's do a 3. What I'm going to do is intentionally pull 3 cards upright and flip the middle card over so that it's reversed before we flip the cards over, just as like a study practice. And I want to see how it would change the reading if we take that reversed card as meaning reverting back to the previous card, since that's the method that's grabbed my attention most, right? We need a question. Well, I did a reading today earlier. Yeah, Sag and Virgo. I mean, I don't know any other Sag and Virgo pairs, but whew, works for us. Thank you. I did a reading earlier today, a 10-card spread, a Celtic cross. So we're going to do it based on that reading. So I have something to bounce it off of spur of the moment here. And we'll say, so the reading I did earlier today was about whether or not someone should go after a new hobby or endeavor or project or something if they want to do that, to embrace something new. And the spread pretty much said, yes, go for it. You're in alignment with it. Some shadows might pop up. Let's do this one first and then see if we can do your question. If you want to type your question in there, we can do a question too, because I'm just curious to see how this works. So we're going to flip this one over. Okay. So just general additional information. Oh, wow. That's cool. So I think I really like this as, so the reversed card is Judgment. But the card before it is the Emperor. And I think I really like this reverting back. I think I really like this more as the reverting to the card before it. So in other words, in order to, and it follows by an 8 of Pentacles. Applying it to the reading I had earlier today, the Judgment card would be self-judgment, because representing self-judgment, because the shadow energy that popped up in the environment area in the reading I did earlier was all about letting past fears keep you from moving forward. And so this judgment, this threshold that has to be walked over, is this facing of the fears, but that you're in perfect alignment with this new endeavor or hobby or thing that you want to move forward with. And so I like this reversed being that it reverts back to the Emperor, because this is standing in your power, facing that fear by standing in your power to face that judgment, to step over the threshold. And then the work begins, the Eight of Pentacles, the new hobby or craft or whatnot. Judgment is causing the person to stall because they want to do things right, maybe. Yes, it could very much be that. The reading I did earlier today was very much about that. It's this fear of things going wrong based on past experiences. So with the judgment coming up to kind of, I think the judgment card was actually showed up in the reading too, if I remember correctly, and it was like a card of a threshold, like an awakening, kind of like a threshold to step over, to step into this new activity, that it is time for it, that everything is good. So so yeah, it could totally be the judgment stalling. Plus it steals the energy from, yes, it does. Yes, that's a very good point. I agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. I really like that. I mean, I don't think that I would use the original method that was in the book of actually reverting to, like, say, card 19 of the Major Arcana. I like it reverting back to the previous card in the reading. I'm absolutely loving that. I'm going to be playing with that for a while now. I don't know if you've been on some of the previous study ones or watched them, but like I said, one of my methods for reading reversals is I use them kind of like a learning tool to learn all these different methods and ways of looking at the card. And then because I started as an intuitive reader, so I'm learning all these traditional meanings. One Rider-Waite. Yeah, we could do a Rider-Waite. I have a Rider-Waite deck here. We can do that. I have about 8 more minutes. I mean, I could go longer, but my husband's going to come home, and then the noise in this house, it carries. It's crazy. My office here is right next to the front door, and when he like literally just closes the door, it sounds like it's slamming. It's the weirdest thing, but the noise carries. But let's see. Do you want to ask your question? Hi, Catherine. It's a beautiful name. This other card here, so I used it for my morning thing. I got to shuffle them really good because they're in order. But oh, awesome. Well, it's been fun chatting with you. What did you have a quick, like a 3-card question we could try to use the reversal on? Or I could just apply it again to the same thing, the reading I did earlier. Same problem? Okay. Yeah, oh, do you mean about your sound in your house? The sound is just, I can't believe it. It's like they don't put anything in the walls to, it's like you whisper at one end of the house, you can hear it at the other end. It's crazy. Okay. Let's go ahead and do it with the Rider-Waite, but let's do the same thing. We'll base it off, because it kind of will give us something to base it off of as well. So we'll base it off of the reading I did earlier today. Okay. And since my cards are all upright and we're doing this for study, I'm going to intentionally flip this one over. Let's see what we got. Ooh, okay, 7 of Pentacles. Oh, King of Swords. Ooh, and 7 of Swords. Okay, so again, I want to use this reversed, reverting automatically back to the previous card. There's no way about it. I love that. I've never done that before in a reading, and that's not even the method that they gave in the book. Um, but I don't want to make this a Queen of Swords. It doesn't fit. So for the reading that I did earlier, the other aspect of it, right? Starting a new hobby, you're in alignment with it. You've learned things from the past, been through old challenges, but you're in alignment to move forward, but you have to face that fear based off past experiences. Well, the other part of the reading earlier today was about in facing the shadow, there's like this trickster energy present. Okay, so getting stuck in your head is really bad. You have to make sure at this time, as you are making the decision to go forward and learning this new hobby or activity, to make sure that your thoughts are in alignment with your heart. And as long as you're in alignment with your heart, they're good. But if your thoughts are not in alignment with your heart, they're really like topsy-turvying everything, right? Like really making you second guess things. Um, like the Seven of Swords, right? Like totally running away with your plans and your ideas. So to prevent this energy, these thoughts that are just kind of making you second guess everything, you reverse the King to revert you to the Seven of Pentacles. So to solve the mental problem, this problem needing to keep your thoughts in alignment with your heart, the way you solve that and make sure that you actually are connecting with your heart, that you're only following the thoughts that pop through your head that are in line with your heart, is by going back and observing the work that you've done in the past, where you've grown, where you sat and watched and observed yourself and looked at things and what you've learned from the past. So how do you know if you're aligned, your thoughts, which thoughts are aligned with your heart and which ones aren't? It's by observing your previous lessons and things that you've been through, watching your garden grow, right? How you've grown. This gives me the tingles. I love it. But I love that. I'm really actually kind of excited about that process. Okay, so I think I am probably going to call it a day for today because I want to make sure that I'm able to not have too much noise. King of Sword Heart is blocked. He's too much. Yep. Yes. Yep. Exactly. Feels like an air sign. Yes. And so, but that was the risk. That was one of the tricky energies in facing the fear in the reading. Yes, exactly. Stealing his treasure from himself by paying attention to those negative thoughts or the things that he doesn't need to pay attention to, those fears, right? The thought fears. Um, yeah, that's really cool. I like that method. That's something I'm going to use going forward. Well, it has been fun chatting with you, Catherine, and for everybody else who is watching um, and watching the replay, thank you so much. Let us know what you think down in the comments on the replay as well. And we'll do this again next week. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to you next time.